An absolutely genius move from Epic Games is not what I thought I'd be talking about today, guys. In the past 24 hours, if you guys have not heard about this, the Blizzard backlash is more extreme than I've seen for any developer out there in a long time. Speaking of which, in quick summary, if you guys have not been around for the past 2 days or so, it was actually a Hearthstone pro known as Blitzchung. He went on a broadcast during the Grandmaster series to preach liberation for Hong Kong. What did Blizzard do in their idiotic response, which we have now seen so much backlash for, more boycotts for? On top of all of that, they banned the pro player for an entire year from competition. They take away all of his Grandmaster earnings, and the two casters that were on air with him and a part of his act, they fire them both. In a kind of an attempt to, of course, save face in the Chinese region, they have now gotten more backlash across the entire world than they probably could have ever expected. And you know what Tim Sweeney does? The CEO, the founder of Epic Games, you know what he does, guys? He swings back at Blizzard in a genius move. He has now kind of preached to all of us out there that no matter who you are, Fortnite competitor or a Fortnite content creator, they are not going to punish you for doing the same thing that Blizzard banned their pro player for doing for an entire year. I think this move is absolutely genius. It's smartly timed. Within 24 hours of Blizzard doing this, we have Tim Sweeney swinging back in an interview with The Verge as well. A very simple statement by pretty much saying, hey, you know what Blizzard did? Yeah, we're not going to do that. But people had the right to be worried about games like Fortnite or developers like Epic Games out there because Tencent has their hands in everything. We have talked about them countless times here on this channel. In fact, whenever I have a podcast and I mention Tencent, I instinctively bow down because they scare me. And they do have a 40% hold in Epic Games. So people, obviously rightfully so, I would say, were a bit worried at first when they heard that Blizzard was making these announcements when Tencent only owns 5% of them. The reasoning though behind that, it does make a lot of sense. The reasoning why Tim Sweeney for Epic Games would now come out and say, by the way, Tfue, if you want to go post-game interview after winning a big tournament and say, free Hong Kong, we're not going to punish you. The reason why he can actually do this and actually back up his statement that Tencent is not leaving and they are going to be, you know, Tim Sweeney holds the pants or wears the pants in this relationship is because Fortnite, compared to Blizzard, they're a cash cow for Tencent. Yes, Blizzard is, but when you have 40% in Epic Games, who is bringing in billions of dollars every single year, 2.4 billion in revenue over the past year. Obviously, this upcoming year is going to be a bit dipped down, but still billions of dollars. You think Tencent's gonna back out of that? And by the way, why Tim Sweeney is wearing the pants right now as compared to Blizzard and their execs? Because Epic Games and their priority fan base or player base, they're not in China. They're in North America. They're in Europe. I think it's fair to say in terms of the Asian region, Fortnite is not a giant game. We've all seen the World Cup. We've all seen big qualifiers out there. Player base, they're not coming out of Asia. Compared to Blizzard though, you guys look at the player base over there. Yes, China is a huge factor in Blizzard games out there. And we look at the list of Blizzard games that actually operate and distribute inside China. It does make a lot of sense. We talked about this yesterday as to why Blizzard, their hand was almost forced into this. They had to choose a big decision whether to do something about what Blitzchung had done or not do something. StarCraft 2, Diablo 3, World of Warcraft, obviously Overwatch. Among the newest one though, that being Call of Duty Mobile. It's going to be distributed by Tencent in China. Blizzard, by the way, will make a lot of money off of Call of Duty Mobile, and a lot of their games, which operate in China, have a huge player base over there. As compared to Epic Games and Tim Sweeney, completely different situation. Alright, Tim Sweeney is wearing the pants compared to Blizzard execs. They are shaking in their boots. You got US senators being involved. You have college pro players. College esports pros are protesting. Other Hearthstone pros are protesting this. You have Blizzard's own employees now covering up signs apparently around the company campus that said that we're actually preaching that everyone had a voice. Every voice is equal out there. They're covering those signs up. Twitch chat is going off about this, guys. Blizzard is certainly in trouble, and this does continue. This story will continue. I'll continue to cover it for all of you guys, but it's very interesting to compare the choices that Epic Games can make compared to Blizzard based off Chinese distribution, based off their connection to Tencent and the Chinese government and their Chinese player bases. Blizzard chose this on purpose. And it might still be the smart choice. As crazy it is to say that, guys, despite the worldwide backlash and boycott now for Blizzard, they made what they thought was the financially viable reason. I am simply trying to explain to you guys why that maybe did make sense. They have so many games which a large majority of players do play in the Chinese region. Call of Duty Mobile, guys, they're preaching $20 million in revenue in the first 7 days. People are saying 100 million players as well. Mobile might be the future market for Blizzard in China, and so they want to save that face, and that's why they chose this. Epic Games, by the way, opposite end of the spectrum. Yes, Tencent holds 40% in them, but don't get it wrong. Tencent does not have a huge hand in Epic Games. That's Tim Sweeney. He will choose what they do for the future, and they will not be punishing pros or content creators for whatever they say when it comes to preaching their free speech about that. Obviously, they're not going to allow some things to be said, but you know, it's pretty crazy to see what these developers and how they're affected by their holdings and their investments and their investors, I should say. Tencent has a giant hand with that 5% in Blizzard, but they don't really have a hand in Epic Games with their 40%. And I just told you guys why. It's crazy. Esports have now gone political. Woo! As always, hope you guys all enjoy. I'll be breaking down esports and gaming news here all day long, guys. My next story will now be about Riot and their response to all of this. It just keeps on getting crazier. Thank you all for subscribing, liking, commenting. You guys are amazing. We are slowly building a foundation over here at Esports Talk to talk about this stuff every single day. Until next time, take care of yourselves. I'll see you guys back here sometime soon. Bye!